I'm Jimi Hendrick, and this is episode 4, Adventure, Journey of Success on Empower 360. I'm James Anthony Hendrick Jr., but you can call me Jimmy. I'm a motivational speaker. I am legally blind. I am a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'd like to help you find and discover more, to live a better and extraordinary life. I also wish to give you the spiritual and temporal tips to help you overcome the adversities in everyday life. Okay. It is so funny. I had different content in mind for this show yesterday. But it's amazing what a good night's sleep, a kind of a crazy dream, and a morning of fishing has really done, okay? Because it changes over. And who knows, that topic may be addressed at some point later on, because you never know. But let's get ready. Let's get ready to have some fun here on this little adventure that we call success. How many of you are craving success and adventure at the same time? Well, I'll tell you something right now. I know I have. In this show, yes, I talk about adversity and overcoming adversity, but I also talk about what you need to do to be successful in some ways. And really, that saying, if you always do what you always did, you will always get what you always got. So I agree with Dana Lamond. He says, you've got to try something new. And so that's part of the thing about Empower 360 is to try new things as often as possible. You've got to mix it up. Especially at my age 51. One thing I've discovered is that you've got to try new things. I've had a thirst for that ever since I was in my 20s. It's become a part of me ever since really my 40s and 50s, especially my 50s. Now I'm 51 here, early 50s here. My 40s and 50s have been a decade of really trial and error. But I'll tell you this much. The adventure of success involves trying new things. Watching and listening to the content that you need to be successful. Don't just be, goofing around and watching something that doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? That's kind of like, what you need to be laser focused on and not being reactive. Which means, I'll give a fishing analogy. Forgive me here. I'll give a fishing analogy, and it's, if you're fishing for the big catch, sometimes you've got to use artificial bait. You don't want to just put anything out there for bait, just hoping that the fish are going to bite. What you need to do is focus on the things that you need to do to be successful. Listen to content from top speakers. Know what you've got to do. The fact of the matter is that if success wasn't an adventure, it would be too easy. We wouldn't want that. We don't want the easy life here. That is not what Empower 360 is all about. No. We want so much more. We want so much better. And that's why reading good books, listening to some good audiobooks and watching YouTube videos of some of the best quality speakers possible. Doing what you've got to do to be successful. It doesn't involve just sitting there for hours and watching, mindless TV. If I watch TV and movies and stuff, there has to be an overriding theme in which I am learning something. Like I know, one of the greatest movies I ever watched with friends was a movie called Gravity. And I learned a quote there that I would like to use. At some point, I will use this quote in an episode or even on a platform speech someday. Because here's the thing. You're going to need these things as a compass to go on your adventure of success, okay? First of all, you need a vision, okay? And one thing I highly recommend, and I'm going to be working on this afternoon, refining my vision board, whether it's digital or not. Refining and looking at your vision board and having a vision, that is one arrow of your compass, okay? Another thing that you need is some goals. Because those goals are little markers that will take you to where you are for success. Of course, a huge part of success is a journey. It's like my granddad always said, son, you gotta understand, half the fun's getting there. And so I've learned that over the years. I've gained a lot of wisdom. Half the fun is getting there. I remember when I was in my mid to late 20s, I was dating, engaged to, and married to my ex-wife, and mentors kept telling me, Jimmy, half the fun is getting there. Success is not about just the destination. The destination is wonderful, but it's also about the journey. You know what I mean? The journey. And so you go on that journey, you embark on that journey, and you do what you can. Now, here's something that you need to get out of to go on that success venture, okay? You need to get out of your head, okay? If you're planning, envisioning everything in your mind tends to tell stories. Your mind sometimes tends to tell you some negative. Psychologists say that we have 65,000 thoughts a day. 85% of those are negative. Now, I want to illustrate that with a dream I had. I had a dream that I was once again a student back at Texas Tech University. I was taking some courses in mass communications, and there was a big lecture hall back in my day in college called Mass Comm 101. And I lost my microcassette recorder in Mass Comm 101, or at least I thought I did. And I walked outside, I was all discouraged because I couldn't find it. And there was this guy dressed in a suit. He looked pretty decent enough, but he sounded a lot like my father, but he was a lot more successful. He said, son, search your home, search everywhere you possibly can, to retrace your steps. I searched everywhere. He said, okay. The next day, he said, okay, let's go back into the lecture hall and search. But sir, they got class going on. He took a look around. He said, I don't care. Go back in there and search. I searched. I could not find it. And his voice inside me hit me and said, "You're crazy." And then I saw this other man that was successful. He said, "You ought to be young." He said, "No, young man, you're not crazy. You're just different, and it's okay to be different. You're different. You're called to be extraordinary. You're called to be in excellence." And I listened. It was almost like I was looking at him at a mirror. Almost like he was my older self. Because throughout my teens and some of my 20s, there were times I'd ask myself, well, why can't I just be like everybody else? But now that I'm 50, I understand I don't have to be like everybody else. I can just be like me and be a success at that. Okay? Now, the dream fastens onto another, almost like a cross between a college lecture hall and an auditorium. And there was a man that I had seen last night at a Toastmasters training. I'm not going to give too much of his, of it away, but he was talking about how success is a journey. Success is a journey. And I took note of that. And in the middle of his speech, I woke up. And I thought, well, if it started out as a nightmare, it certainly had a lovely ending. And I'm thinking, if all these people in the dream could be hyper successful with a credibility to back them up, let me tell you something. Are you going to possibly get credibility for the people that are talking you down, who are knocking down your success? No, come on. I know you can do better than that. Otherwise, why are you subscribed and listening to Empower 360? You know, but that's why we need the compass focused. Vision. Goals. And then to get out of your head and realize that it's a journey. It's like going fishing. We don't know when or where we're going to catch the fish. Maybe in some ways we don't know how. But we know the why. Del Toro Neal said, when the why is strong enough, the what does not matter, and the how shows up. So you have to have a compelling why. I want you to sit there and think with that for a minute, just for a minute. The fact of the matter is, you are in charge of your destiny, of your divine potential. And you know what you want. You know what you want. And you're going to go after it. Right? I hope you do. One thing that's helped me is I've had resistance to my journey of success all the way. I've said this before. I was named as legally challenged by the County School District here in Texas. I was labeled socially and emotionally immature and therefore unfit for college. It was an uphill struggle, but let me tell you something. I did it. I pulled it off. And I am on my journey to success.